Good afternoon. The Eurovision Song Contest 2026 is complete. And after a week of high highs and low lows, we had, once again, yet another night which brought more of the same. And as you can see, for some of us, it's had quite a detrimental effect. I'm joined by James and GJ today. We're going to have Jay with us later as well. Well, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. We have gone through another night, an emotional night. There are a series of big headlines to the contest that we're going to talk about. But firstly, of course, we should say our congratulations to the winner, Dara from Bulgaria. And there's lots of us in this room right now. So I'm going to turn the gain down on this microphone and we're all going to give Dara a big round of applause.
All I saw was just the red on your cardigan.
Yeah, the microphone immediately peaked on that. So sorry for the jump scare, everyone.
If you weren't jump scared already by the bags under my eyes.
Oh, don't worry about it. So in a moment, I'm going to we're going to start talking about everything that went on last night. But firstly, I think a big round of flowers and let's talk about how this happened this week and how essentially until about 72 hours ago, 98% of the commentariat, i.e. us, didn't sniff this one out.
And I love it.
And I love it.
I said this yesterday afternoon already. I'm not claiming full victory and clarity on that, but I said yesterday, if Bangalanga wins, it means you can still win Eurovision in the last week. That the self-fulfilling prophecies that we in the fandom and the media and everyone keeps talking about, it can still be proven wrong. You can fully fuego out, as Sam would say. And I think that's the best thing ever. You can still win Eurovision in the last week by coming up with a great concept, a song, and just go, you know what? get it going. And I love that so much. Guys, I'm trying to speak up, but literally the amount of screaming I did yesterday when Bangaranga won.
What I'll do is you're just going to
Is
see me doing
wild.
lots of this today. I'll move it around. So I'll move
Very
it
lovely.
towards GJ when he speaks, and then I'll move it back away again when he's not.
Normally I get told my voice is too loud, but today I'm just like a husky. Listen, I'm serving Antigone today. There will be a lot of jawline from happening for me.
She was fine last
she was
night.
much
But
better.
she has a
Totally fine on
a
Saturday.
husky voice.
Okay, well, you weren't being mean. That's good.
I wasn't
want
being
more?
mean.
Okay, it was more of a command. Did you notice that? It was more of a command than a question. She was like, "You want more." In that moment, we were like, "Okay."
Listen, we all do. But no, I'm happy. I'm happy that a song can still win the Eurovision Song Contest in the last week. If you serve up something really cool that we see in the first dress rehearsal in full, and we go, yep, that's really cool. So I'm really happy with that. I'm also really happy that it's the first one to win both jury and televote, so we won't be dealing with that discussion this year. In terms of, should it be more of this and this? She won both. Shut up.
Yeah.
Stop
Yeah.
talking.
First time in nearly a decade.
Thank you.
James,
Thank you.
what's your take?
That this is one of the most feel-good song contest victories I can remember, because I did have a feeling that a lot of the narratives going into the competition that we had were at risk of being shattered, but I didn't truly believe that it would be by Bangaranga. It was just a song that I am perfectly prepared to hold my hands up and say, I did not see it being what it is. And then I remember when we got into the arena on the Wednesday afternoon for the second semi-final, obviously it went on first, we saw the staging concept, and straight away I realised we might be dealing with something a little bit more special. I think, I'll go on about Bangaranga throughout the whole stream, but what I will say is, this has the potential to move Eurovision forward by 5 or 10 years overnight. Musically, this is so different to what has succeeded before. It is so modern. It is so up to date with the times now. And I also think, we'll get into this as well, but the new look juries with the 2 people under the age of 25.
Not just that.
Big
but
difference.
It does make a little bit of a difference. Also, a girl bop won Eurovision.
Finally.
Girl bop won Eurovision. It's a very deep girl bop. She has artistry and stuff like that. She wasn't put into a song that's been mopping around 4 national finals and internal selections for years.
It was for her.
It was for
The
her,
song was for
with
her.
her, but it is also a girl bop, and I love that. I get to slut drop to this for years to come if my joints allow me to.
I will say as well, I think, so my take on this, and in a minute, just after this, I'm going to quickly get my take, and then I'm going to go through the super chat, and then we will discuss more. My take on this is essentially, we were waiting for someone to pull it together in Eurovision week, someone to basically come out and take the win. There were odds favourites, there was consensus, there was, and we said it all before, when you looked at the favourites, when you looked at the way all the different polls were going and so on, it didn't match the feeling. I still cautiously was expecting Finland, but I kept saying it doesn't pass the smell test for the kinds of numbers we are seeing on the scoreboard app, on the polls, on the OGE side, all these different things on the Eurojury. It just didn't pass the smell test. That obviously proved to be true. Bulgaria showed up in show week and they won it. And to be honest, I think this is going to be a big launch pad for Dara internationally. This is a probably commercially successful Eurovision song at a time where the contest needed it. And a small lifeline that gives us another chance. And we'll come on to that. I need to go through the super chat. So wait. No, you need to wait. I have like 20 super chats.
She's already at 6 million views on YouTube on that performance alone. So
There we go. So, Zach, thank you so much, says Test. J Ray celebrates 15 months of membership. Certainly was a show. Thank you so much. James Willett, thank you, says placed an 11-1 bet on Bulgaria just before the contest, giving some back to you for being such an incredible voice against injustice this year. If Eurovision is to survive, Israel has to go. Bangaranga, I think we all agree. This is a major topic of conversation. We're going to be talking about this today at length. Do not worry. Mystic Jar of Sauerkraut says, apologies for the Polish 12 to Israel. We don't really understand it here in Poland. It's caused massive outrage and backlash. We're appalled by it and don't agree with it. Yeah, certainly the jury voting will be a talking point. Like I say, there is so much we need to talk about today relating to this. It is, once again, the dominating narrative in the contest bubble. And yeah, it's, we'll talk a lot about it. Nara, I'm really sorry, I can't pronounce your username. 8336 says, I want to tell you you've been officially cited in my bachelor degree on Eurovision as a media tool for shaping Israel's international policy. Thank you for all you've done for the community. Thank you. That is an honor. I'm very glad you felt that you could cite my work in that way, and I really appreciate it. Neuro says, I have been in the trenches stunning Eastern Europe since Vic. I'm so vindicated. Balkan winner, 5 of the top 10, 6 top 10 televotes, 6 left side. Clocked it, winning material at the semi. Well, there you go. Congratulations. Certainly something to talk about the eastward move and how the countries that left and joined affected that. We'll come to that. Ramping Guy says, can you make a poll on if everyone is or is not the Bangaranga? Yes, we can. I'll do that in a little bit. Once Woozy says, thank you so much for your work this season. Feel vindicated in ranking my system lowly. Again, big topic of conversation. We'll get to that. This is moving really fast. I'm trying to catch up, and then we'll continue. Thank you for another year of leading the way through this nonsense, says Maraka. Thank you so much. I hope it was helpful. Ellie Patterson says, Gabe, you and your team have done a wonderful job this season. I'm really grateful to all of you. And also, Bangaranga. Thank you so much, Eli. And you've all been so generous, and I really appreciate it. B, we are all the Bangaranga. I agree with you. 3 railway engine. I'm getting there. I've almost caught up now. I'm only 2 minutes behind. Austria, Finland, and France are my top 3. Bulgaria, not for me, but can see the appeal. Thank God she won. Yeah, I mean, there is a big feeling of relief for me as well, and I'm sure, again, this is
massively.
We're going to go to this conversation straight away once we get through this. For all your amazing ESC coverage, says Jamie JSG, thank you so much. Alacy says, I'm going to have to stop in a minute, guys, just because there's so many of them, so if yours hasn't been read out yet, don't be disheartened. I promise I'll come back to it later. Alacy says, feel so disheartened for Albania, feels as though we can never break the jury. Is there a world in which we can win? I hope so. I really hope so. But yeah, the jury score for that did strike me as odd. What the hell just happened, says Jay Kruvat. And ESC Gotham says, welcome to Bulgaria. I will continue with the super chats because it's coming at such a pace. I'm going to have to stop and continue. But yeah, let's take a look at this result. Luckily, I have a button for that. So this was the score that Bulgaria won with. We should point out that this is bizarrely, despite how last night felt, the biggest winning margin in Eurovision history, which is an extraordinary statistic, isn't it?
It has replaced Alexander Rybak in the history books of Eurovision, and I'm very happy to the platform.
Another victory, really.
Another a personal victory for me.
I mean, it's 173 points was the margin. That is 4 more than the Rybak one was. Obviously, the way that the televote went out, it did not feel that way at all. But no. This was a sweeping victory. Yeah. And to be honest, I mean, even if Israel had pulled like Ukraine 2022 numbers, it was going to be quite difficult.
So they got 220, didn't they? This shows that essentially the margin of they could have gone far beyond anything they'd gone before, and in terms of the number of points they'd received. Now, obviously, this is going to be, we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, I will say it does show you how, as GJ mentioned at the start, you can come through in Eurovision week. Yeah. If you deliver a good enough production, then you can do that. We should say, I don't think that there's nothing about this that was accidental. Let me quickly get the Bulgarian team up, because some of the people who were behind it, obviously, there was Dara, of course, as the singer and one of the songwriters. But one thing I really wanted to point to, number 1, Frederick Ridman, the staging director, who has a whole list of, for example, The Code, Cha Cha Cha, Heroes, looking back further. But also, this is, in my opinion, someone who deserves a massive amount of credit. Someone who we need to be singing praises to the high heavens. Keisha von Arnold choreographed this performance. Absolutely no coincidence at all. She was involved in Cyprus 2018, Switzerland 2019. That choreo was one of the best choreos we've seen at Eurovision ever.
Can I say that this choreo moves Eurovision directly into the K-pop space? This is such a transformational entry. It can have such an impact moving forward, because that every country watching this, particularly in Eastern Europe, a place where we haven't seen a winner for a long time, is going to be looking at this and going, now that is how to do it.
If it fits the song and artist, let's be very clear on that. That needs to be the message to any delegation. If you have an artist who this feels right for, do it. If we look at the rest of the top 10, we don't want to K-pop yesify a Romania. entry this
Yeah.
year, or a Delta Good.
It has to fit the song. Like, this is actually the thing. And there was a lot of staging successes and a lot of times where actually I really felt like you matched the performer to the mood very well.
Yeah.
Romania, great example.
Great example.
That was exactly what they should have done with that entry. To be honest, Australia, some people felt it was a little too much, but the thing they definitely got right was just...
What do you mean? What do you mean?
letting
What do you
Delta...
mean?
It needed to be about Delta. Okay, behave yourself. Delta, it had to be about Delta shining on stage. Yes, okay, it was a lot...
No. She does the Elton John wiggle when she plays the piano, like there's a full fracking band behind her going. I just love it.
But
so
she's got to
much.
sell it, even though she's not
I
hitting
know,
any
but
of the
I
notes.
love it so much.
We'll get to it, okay? We'll come to the favourite
Can I say
because there is
something
a
else about this
conversation.
too? Is
Yes.
the fact that this staging did some things very simply as well.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have to rotate that room around 2 times. They did it so the floor looked like it was moving. That's what the effect was. Because people are like, why is she doing that? You could just move the camera. No, you want the whole floor to go. Whoa.
Yeah, because it's the static shot that gives the effect.
It's the small little things that in the end I don't think really matter, but add is also her acting in it, like the way she was telling you the story. The fact that it did something that's been super successful in Eurovision, which is mixing older traditions in a new modern way, which I would always call the Goe recipe. But in this case, it was done with a traditional, I think, cultural experience of like exercising bad energy.
Yeah.
And she put that into a modern song. The fact that like I geeked out on the small little fog machines on the bottom of the chairs when the lights come up on that. It's just a small little thing that goes, oh, so there's like this bad thing around it. I just loved all those things so much.
And I think the key takeaway in my opinion is that excessive staging isn't the thing that wins Eurovision. Attention to detail is what it is.
Correct.
I think we're in an era now where it's not so much about doing a kind of, like, hello, I have 14 props and I'm flying around the place. It's about, okay, each little thing has to slot into place. Every shot has to be considered and so on. You can't, the bar has definitively risen, and we saw that in this result. And I mean, especially the televote it did very, very well in the televote, basically everywhere. And it's not quite, proportionally speaking, this is a result that isn't quite as much as Cha Cha Cha, but it's actually not that far off.
Not far.
With 37 countries, the televote result equivalent will be somewhere in the 330s.
Yeah.
That means this was as popular as Rim Tim Taggy Dim.
Yes.
Means it was almost as popular as Cha Cha Cha. I also think it's very good for the contest to have a televote winner winning the contest.
4 years.
Because I think it's important for the legitimacy of the event. Speaking of the legitimacy of the event, unfortunately, we once again had the same massive headline underwriting this, which was in my opinion, once again inflated score of Israel. What I think really shocked people was the way in which it happened. This is a result I've spent a lot of time thinking about since yesterday, trying to work out exactly what happened, because it was really all over the place. And actually, one thing that we saw this year that we didn't see previously is that the televoting was really, really all over the place in a lot of ways we didn't expect. You've got 6 from the rest of the world, for example. Israel has never lost a rest of the world vote, ever. And suddenly it went down to 6. I mean, I'm looking at this and there's so many things I struggle to understand. I mean, where do we even start?
Well, I think where we start is the fact that we are not able to explain a lot of this because of security reasons. That was one of the stories we were following through the media presented this week. Because if we know all the security measures, there's way to circumvent them. So we don't know what some of the televote circumventions were to make this result happen. So what we can say is that the new measures worked because they were third in the televote, which means they weren't number 1, which also means they weren't number 2, which may seem that something did happen there. And I think that's really good to see those measures at least having a effect. We don't know if they fully did everything there, but I think that's a good thing to see. And I think in the end, on the other hand, we do have to consider that regardless of political affiliation, this was a very radio-friendly song.
Yeah,
with a generally attractive man with a good vocal, where if you're a mum who is completely politically neutral, will go, if you're not, and I'll be blunt about it, attracted to Aiden or Peta, you'll go, that's a very charming, handsome man.
I mean, I think the thing is, right, is it's there's an element where, okay, if we strip everything, we look at a world where this song is being evaluated fairly. I think it's a borderline qualifier, either in or out, and then it does very badly in the final. We see a lot of songs like this where that kind of thing happens. I just think, I will say that my instinct is looking at everything that we see in front of us. They talked about new measures in the voting, about security and so on. The way in which it has changed, but it bears the same hallmarks, but with these kinds of all of these jagged edges and wrinkles and stuff that makes me genuinely wonder what was detected, whether something was detected, and that, and obviously these details were not going to be shared. I just think when I look at it, I see all the hallmarks of a coordinated attempt to compromise the televote, which was maybe, for whatever reason, not as successful as it was last year.
I agree.
And if that is down to new security measures or new checks done by WANTs, who are the EB's voting partners, they're the people with the numbers in front of them. They're able to work out whether things are secure or not. Yeah. It does appear that processes have been followed in a better way this year.
Yeah.
And while I'm sure that we'll never find out exactly what they did, I do hope that the EB will come out and give a confirmation that things have been done, at the very least, because I do feel like that will go a long way to helping people feel more confident in this.
And I think even if we don't hear anything, at least we need to make sure that this is a start of a conversation with at least the 5 boycotting countries, to at least being able... This is what the contest needed to not just survive, but bring those countries back, is to have the EBU being able to say, look, this is the result, these measures worked. And that's a starting point of a conversation. This is not a now all of them will come back and take it lying down. We've seen Belgium yesterday come out with a very strong statement. The Dutch have said we'll be awaiting more information and more conclusions and a debrief on Eurovision 2026. But that is a good thing. I think on the other hand, what we also have to see is that, we have to be fair. They weren't the only diaspora activated.
Yeah.
And I think that is important to put into context, because you will always have an activated diaspora. And I think
you say that I'm going to stop you there. And the reason I'm going to is because, as I look at these figures and they don't necessarily track with sort of, there is a political thing where, once again, we're seeing like lots of these countries in the West going high in the televote, right? And this is a Western European right-wing political movement. It is not directly correlated with the populations, for example, of Jewish people in different countries in Europe. And we see that because countries with tiny Jewish populations still have the same effect present. You can see that with Finland, for example, which gave them the maximum 12 from the public. So there is, I think, because we saw evidence of this yesterday, and if you haven't seen it, it's on my Twitter, where pro-Israel grassroots organizations were essentially breaking the rules on Israel's behalf. So they were saying vote for 10 times. They were sending out things to their mailing lists. These are small groups of extremely activated, extremely political people who would be much more willing to engage in that kind of behavior.
And I think, therefore, you see this result because they specifically engage in a vote 10 times. Where, for example, we see others do a please vote for me thing, which will then give you 1 or 2 votes while they're voting for other things as well, because they'll listen to spread the love, that kind of stuff. These groups specifically engage on vote the maximum of times possible, and also sometimes instruct them in ways to get extra purchasing methods to vote extra, and additionally on the 10 votes that you get for a phone or a one payment card. So that is what inflates this result to worrying results. Because that's the thing, where other countries and other artists are telling their fan bases, their diasporas, their expats to go vote for us. These are saying vote 10 times for us, and by the way, this is how you can vote 30 times.
It's a question of faith.
That is a difference in how that's being done, and that is wrong. That is very wrong. Let me not defend that in any type of case.
It's a question of faith, isn't it? It's a question of faith, because, Dara, for example, our winner, did make some videos encouraging the Bulgarian diaspora around Europe to come out and vote for their country. And that's fine. I really want to say that promoting an entry is absolutely okay. I know this is a line the EBU have taken, but this is accurate. We're in the music industry.
Yeah.
You're here to make promotion. Labels are involved in Eurovision. Marketing agencies are involved in Eurovision. This is part of the game of music. It is okay to promote your entry in good faith. Because one thing that the other 24 countries in the grand final did was ensure that they never said vote 10 times. They never encouraged you to find new payment methods. They just said, we would like you to vote for us. Even Malta, for which there was a lot of criticism about the kind of weight of the campaign, they never said, vote 10 times in the Eurovision week.
No.
And of course, they don't have that kind of, those other
Yeah.
levers to pull. And this is the thing, is that lots of these communities and so on, and the way in which, the way a cultural community is organized compared to how a political organization,
is a big difference.
It's top down, very centralized. You have essentially this pyramid whereby, the people who signed up to join these organizations, they've done that voluntarily for a strong political reason. And then they are actively interested in promoting the country in question. And so, the organizers of those groups will be able to send emails and so on to encourage them to do certain things. We see in other cases, these kinds of advocacy groups exist for lots of different countries and lots of different contexts. The difference is that only Israel sort of benefits in Eurovision in this way from those sets of organizations. Whereas the difference is with cultural communities, they're widespread, they're decentralized, there's a wide variety of different interest levels in all kinds of different events and so on. And we've always had these kind of much more organic, people tune in spontaneously and vote spontaneously.
Yeah.
And so it's a totally different game. On a wider level, away from the voting, I feel very strongly now that on a moral level, on a political level, on an ethical level, it's very clear from what we saw in there this week, and honestly what we've seen in the last 2 years. I think the Eurovision Song Contest will die a death of 1,000 cuts. It will continue to live within moments of its own existence every year, as long as Israel is part of it. And the contest is going through a period of time that if Israel is not removed, it will not survive. We saw big drops in the viewing figures we already know already. For example, in the UK, and bear in mind, we had no chance last year, so you can kind of take a baseline from last year to this year, a drop of almost 20% in the viewership.
Seismic, really.
Yeah, and we saw the figures from the semi-finals. I'm coming to it. We saw the figures from the semi-finals, drops in a lot of different countries. It is very clear that a good proportion of the audience have voted with their feet. On an ethical level, on a moral level, and in terms of the survival of the show and its audience, how are we meant to survive if Israel remains?
Can I start with this? Because I feel as if it's time to actually have a little bit of summary. We've had 3 years of this now. We've had 3 contests where the primary narrative going into the Saturday has been just how high are Israel going to score.
Yeah.
That is almost the narrative itself, and it washes away so many other narratives in the mainstream media about Eurovision. That Dara has won a comprehensive victory. Her and Bulgaria and everyone in Europe should be celebrating this without any kind of stain on the result. As long as we are in a contest at the moment where we have to have these questions and we have to start asking these things, there will always be a stain on these things. And I feel sorry for people who should be celebrating today with no reservations that there might be reservations. I genuinely believe we have had 3 years of this. Last night should have been the season finale of this. It is time to put a full stop on this. And I hope that if the European Broadcasting Union or if the Eurovision team and if once have done something that has helped with the voting system, that has put barriers in place,
That has exposed
something, that they come out and say it. This is an opportunity to put a full stop on a difficult period before it becomes the last chapter.
And I'm going to be very bold and blunt about it. it needs to be handled well, in the sense of the fact that there are options to remove Cannes from the song contest without abandoning them as a European Broadcasting Union member, because they are under threat, and basically the Israeli government has checkmated the EBU for 4 years in a row now. The most important thing is that if boycotters in other countries will boycott or put demands that Cannes is out for their return, it needs to be done on one base and one base only, and that is how many formal warnings will you give a country before it's enough. It feels like the EBU has decided that that today they've been given a blank slate, so formal warnings will only count for that calendar Eurovision year. We need to say at some point you remove the class bully from the classroom. Don't suspend them from school entirely, because you still need to educate them, but you remove them from the class. You stop giving them extra homework or a little bit of detention. You just say that, and that is also what broadcasters need to do. If broadcasters, and I'll be very bold about this, and I've said this to my broadcaster, Afro, if you would have focused purely on the fact that they have not been consequentially punished in the same way other broadcasters and other delegates and delegations have
and would have been,
then you can get them out. That is what should have been done. And the fact that everyone talks about the political stuff brings a lot more pressure into it. Of course, those are grounds also to get them removed, but that is not the argument that you need to use to get them removed, if you understand what that means. And what also needs to happen, and I'll be really, really stressful about this, is we need to constantly be talking in the right terms. And the right terms are this delegation, this artist, this management, this government. By the fact that we constantly keep, and I do want to say that to everyone's watching right now, by constantly saying Israel, and by constantly we put everyone under the same blanket, which not only can lead to sometimes dangerously things, but also makes it hard to really pinpoint the people involved and therefore apply the right pressure. And that's what needs to happen in this case for this exit to work.
I think the thing is, I am thinking a lot sort of tactically in terms of, okay, on what grounds within the political, because we've talked a lot about this on the channel, right? About the political realities of Europe and how it's basically putting the contest in a bit of a straitjacket.
It is.
Realistically, what is the route that will be politically acceptable to remove Israel from the contest? It is the route that is directly related to the breaking of the rules, to manipulation of the voting. So that is where my focus is going to be over the coming months. I don't think any of us disagree at all that ethically it's totally unacceptable for Israel to be in this contest.
I agree.
But if it's the breaking of the rules specifically that is the thing that is going to get them out, so be it. And I think everyone in chat would agree that if something gets them out, that is a valid grounds, and that can be done in such a way that it gets the EBU and the broadcasters and everyone through this and keeps the contest alive, I think every single one of us would take that option without hesitation.
Go on.
Can I add one more thing for everyone at home as well? And for everyone watching, and for all the media watching, and maybe even broadcasters watching, now is the time to apply pressure. Pressure, it does not need to be applied in February and March when contestants and delegations are already there and things are happening.
And not in December either.
Not in December either. There is a General Assembly in 6 weeks where all the members will be getting together and this will be discussed. All movements need to align now if you want to make sure they're out next year. Otherwise, this train will already be running. And you'll
get
be too
on
late.
with it, is what we're saying.
Let me just say, just because Israel scored 220 points and just because Bangaranga has won by the record margin and all of these things does not mean that the same logic will hold next year. And I just want to say one thing. Do you really want to keep risking this?
Yeah. Exactly.
Because if you look at the period before the pandemic, they were all over the place. So it's not something that has historic precedent unless you go back to the beginning days of them entering the competition where they scored really high all the time. So I think that's a really important thing to realize, is that is what's happening. And that will also make all of the arguments disappear of what you do with Ukraine, what you do with other countries that end up in disrepute.
You take out that element, and suddenly you can make a much cleaner kind of
because
thing.
It's about rules.
Yeah.
Or the other solution to this problem is we detach the Eurovision Song Contest from the EBU.
I would love that. I've written an article about that, but I think I want to put a quick pin in it for a second because I'm now 20 minutes behind on Super Chats.
You want me to do the super chat?
I'm gonna go through them now, and then I'm gonna sort of get as up to date as I can, and then we will continue this discussion. Because
I'm gonna go have some water. I'll swap Jay.
Where is he?
Nice, Jay.
He's not. He's gone. Where's he gone?
I'm gonna go find him.
Oh, he's gone to get food. Okay, don't worry about it. You go drink
go
water.
off.
Shuffle this along. We'll just do the two of us for now.
Yeah, we'll stick
good?
it up.
And then we'll bring GJ back in a bit because I know he has more thoughts. I believe we're going to be talking about the production later, GJ.
My Sunday stream crash out will be happening.
Okay, so that's
Get
something for
ready.
you all to look forward to. Just quickly, so Lady Amphy says, how many juries were in the room versus watching virtually? Could that be why Dara won? All of them were at their broadcasters' offices watching it on television.
Yes, none are on site.
Yeah, none are on site. Keela says, would Baba Vanga predict Bangaranga? Maybe, but thank you nonetheless. Absol for Life says, I feel like Bangaranga didn't win, Dara did. The life she breathed into it stole the win, wouldn't have won if it went with anyone else. This is the thing.
Don't disagree with it.
This is the thing. And if you take any successful pop song by a major pop star, if you give it to some random, average Joe, it's not going to be a hit.
I'd love to expand on that quickly, just to say that the number one thing in Eurovision is authenticity. And I know we're talking about all sorts of different things going on, but Dara winning is proof that authenticity wins.
Yeah, indeed. In fact, okay. I'm just going to bring that result up on screen now. There we go. There you go. I've adjusted the gain again. Sorry, it's more complicated when there's several of us doing this all at once. Tony Timetable says, look, Mum, no televote points. Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that later. I'm sure that's a discussion we can have. Andre Bottazan says, one of the composers and producers was Romanian, so I'm proud we have a part in making a winner. Yes, congratulations to Romanians too. Anna says, are you all crazy? Bulgaria winning jury is bonkers.
This is the new world of the juries.
This is the new world of the juries. The juries dramatically changed. The juries are younger. The juries are different. Oh, GJ's back.
Oh, hot take. Let's go.
I'm going to go through the super chats. I have to catch up on these, otherwise. So just let me go through them before anyone says anything else. I can see Bulgaria winning the jury. Nyan says, just gives a super chat with no comment. Thank you so much. Kathy says, I thought the worst was going to happen, so I chugged half a bottle of wine. It was an amazing moment when I saw the 312 televote. So it turned from a commiserations drink to a celebratory drink. That's something. Vil says that she has a really beautiful voice and that she's a stunning artist. Yes, I agree. School says, hey, Gabe, do you think Israel specifically coordinates points not to win, but to definitely place top 2 to 5? They've been in the range of 340 to 370 ever since 2023. No. I mean, come on, they got how many 12s in past years? They want as many points as they can get from as many places. I'm fairly sure hosting Eurovision is like the Israeli government's PR wet dream. Zoom Torch says, come alive. It's the lyrics of Bangaranga.
No,
welcome to Bulgaria 27.
Can we have that
Bangaranga.
song?
No. No, because I'm still 15 minutes behind on Super Chats. So let me get on with this. Yes, no, I can't wait. I think it'll be really beautiful in Sofia, especially if there's no Israel. It's bittersweet, says Mystical Jar of Sauerkraut. We can't pray for a savior every year to save us from Israel's cheating. Something has to be done. As we say, we agree. Ed Walter says, thank you so much for the amazing coverage this season. Thank you so much for being here. The audacity of Israel to make that we know who's going to win joke was classless. That was during the voting procedure. I agreed. But it's perfectly in line with the arrogance with which their commentators act as well. I think it's more that it shows what they think of all the rest of us. Eurovision needs to make a decision, says Nihi, to remove that country or not, because at this point it'll be the same final outcome between first and second. Yes, this cannot keep happening. They cannot be allowed to keep doing this to us. Dara and Skrillex should collab Bangaranga. I love that pun spec. Bruno Cruz says, I don't think the changes had any major impact. The only difference is we lost 5 countries to make 60 points less for Israel compared to last year. Once Woozy says, under what circumstances would you accept Israel in the contest? In short, if there was a complete peace which was accepted by the Palestinians in full, and a point at which the Palestinians were able to fully engage in the international community, full of Israeli influence, and where that conflict was completely resolved, I think the bridge is too far burned. It is too far gone. I would not feel comfortable in the contest before that point. Antson says, I don't want to imagine what our diva Alicia must have felt when she heard who got 12 from the Polish jury. We're so ashamed of TVP. The jury result is going to require
it's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, an autopsy all of its own. Please subscribe, says Joan. Get Gabe to 60k. Yes, please do. We're less than 1,000 away. It's just scrolled all the way to the top. that's not what I need. I'm trying to get through this as quickly as I can because then we'll move on to the next discussion. There's just so many of them, and obviously I really appreciate all these contributions, so I want to mention them all before we move on. Romania was robbed of second place, says Christian. I agree. Serious question, says Mystical Jar of Sauerkraut. Can Eurovision actually survive without Israeli Moroccan oil sponsorship? Can the EBU find another sponsor? Is it doable at all? Yes. There is absolutely no way that the survival of the contest or the EBU is dependent on the relatively small amount of income from a skincare company. Or are they a hair care company? Hair care company. I don't use their products, so I don't know.
As this week was made very clear a couple of times by the EBU, no sponsor, this is what the EBU says, no sponsor has any impact on the running of the contest. Well, on the event, so yes, the carpet has a certain color. Yes, they have no influence on what happens with the contest. And this week, there was that big survey. You know why that survey is important? Not just to get your voice heard, but also to show what the demographic of actual Eurofans is. You know why Eurovision Song Contest wants new big sponsors.
Yes.
And therefore, they need to prove who we are as well. That is, sadly the way the world of marketing works. So yes, on the one hand, it's a good platform for us to now get our voice heard in that survey, but it's also a way for the Eurovision Song Contest to prove to sponsors, this is our demographic.
Yeah, and the types of people you will be targeting.
Absolutely. John says, highlight of the night was Linda's aggressive fiddle playing that caused her bowheads to snap. That was, it added to the drama, in my opinion. Melamanka is also disappointed about the Polish jury result. And also mentions a Polish volunteer for an aid organisation that was killed in Gaza and got little response. And I feel that too. Melamanka, thank you so much. This is a computer said. I've had it with they'll get less points because their televote is lowering. That's not enough. They need to get out as a matter of ethics and principle. Thank you for using your voices, Gabe and co. I think we all agree with that sentiment. I'm nearly caught up. Moldova authorities are apparently investigating the jury vote, says a pseudonym. We'll have to check that later because I don't want to get one guide. Thank you for the contribution, though. I think a temporary withdrawal of Israel is probably the only compromise the EBU would accept to allow the returning countries back, says Thomas and Orange. If they were, for example, to follow the what was said 10 years ago by Jon Olofsson, is that if you're caught rigging the contest, you get booted for 3 years. 3 years is a long time to basically posture and plan for what happens in year 4. I think I would accept that as an interim solution.
Yes.
If that happened. Neuro says, Fuego and Slow-Mo were top 5 jury. They respect skill. Yes. Jay says, hi, Gabe. He sat right over there, Jay. You could have just said it. He's currently eating some food. He looks like he's very happy. Gabe,
let me go over there and see what kind of food it is, because chat wants to know.
Okay. Jack says, Gabe, what does the UK need for top points again? We'll talk about that later, but it's
a
whole
conversation, my God.
It is a whole conversation. We are so nearly there. Chibi says, the point sequence was like watching an execution. It really did feel like a doom.
Look at the size of this schnitzel. He's on number 2, by the way.
Nice. I've got a few more of these to do. Our Ukrainian jury did give 1 point to the UK, which was right. We're Forever 23 co-hosts. Thanks to the UK. We love you. Leleka was so robbed with jury. P.S. I hope we won't see Kirkorov next year. He's saying that he was involved with the Bulgarian team.
He is.
I think Kirkorov probably really wants to say that he won Eurovision when he wasn't one of the staging directors. He wasn't a listed songwriter. He wasn't on the team and he wasn't singing the song.
You know what he probably did? He was probably texting going, hey, do you have Redkin's number?
Yeah.
And he just literally forwarded the number on whatever messaging service is still allowed.
I would say Kirkorov will take credit for anything if he can. Kirkorov would take credit for the second coming of Christ if he could. Yeah. He probably thinks he is the second coming of Christ.
He did take credit for the Ishkama performance, but then of course got 3rd-degree burns. So
yes, there we go, Ishkama. Tomek says first 12 points for Poland in the final in 23 years. Let's live to see the next ones in 2049, indeed. Then there's Jay, Valkyrion. Can we keep the pointless points reveal? Israel aside, it was a great addition. It was fine, but we'll talk about that in the production. Thank you, Valkyrion. Megan Elkin says, we're not angry enough. Europe isn't angry enough about Israel's hijacking this amazing event. I feel like I can't be too happy about the win. Should be more exciting for a surprise win, even if it wasn't my favourite. Yeah, for sure. This would be without Israel, this would have been
top quality.
Just extraordinary. Joy, I think a lot of people felt that early in May. EBU once again asked for international press to be allowed into Gaza. They can make their place conditional in this request. I don't think that's the route would be most effective, but again, I imagine they will explore all the levers. Dratopia says they're proud of Alexander Kapitanescu, and Onosara says, I think the BBC need to do a McLaren F1 and turn around this. Null points needs to stop. Well done to you, Gabe, of the team, and we're caught up. Thank you all. Let's continue with our discussion. I think we're going to park the Israel point for now.
Yes. Can I talk about the juries for a second?
Yes, you can. Let's talk about the juries a bit. Because that was where I was going next anyway.
what I really think is really cool, and I think this is a debate that we should be having here and in chat as well, is the debate of last year we saw the juries go all types of ways. This year, a minimum of 13 countries all got 12 points.
I think it's more than that. I think it was like 16.
It was 16, I think, at the end, but it was 13. I think what's really cool is that for me, in my perception, that shows that the quality of the final has gotten so high and that the contest has gone to such musical, new, different levels in all kinds of genres that juries won't have a one pick that stands so far above the crowd. And therefore, we can't just say, oh, the two new jurors were the other ones who went for a more modern song. Because also, Dara yesterday won the Creative Award, which is voted on by all the commentators from all the broadcasters who are here and who are abroad and their own thing and their own countries commenting on the contest for the broadcasters. That's usually an older demographic. And I think sometimes comparable to some of the jurors we see that we've traditionally seen. So that shows it was also appreciated on that level, which is really cool to see. And therefore, I think last year's jury result wasn't an outlier, but the beginning of a new president where everyone who talks about the contest and thinks about it longer than the 3 shows this week does, have to reconsider how we look at what juries think and where we go, oh, a jury will like this. Oh, a jury will like that. Oh, this and that will happen. Nope. I think things are changing there. And that's really good for the contest.
Yeah. The thing is, it is really good for the contest, and I totally agree. At the same time, that's conditional on then that makes the televote's integrity a million percent more important. A million percent more important, because I love the jury being open and rewarding lots of different things and then giving the public a much bigger say. Yeah. That public has to be heard fairly and in the way it actually thinks. Yeah. And so that is the really key thing. We're going to talk a little bit, and I'm going to full screen for this because we don't need. I know that one of the big subjects of this week was the production, the interval acts, and everything. And GJ, I'm going to let you sort of rev up a little. I know you want to talk about this. So I'm going to come to you in a moment and we're going to let you let rip. I'm going to keep the microphone slightly further away so that it doesn't completely blow.
I'd say you could put it at the other end of the room and it would be fine.
Let me just see. I'm just going to do a poll on this because I know you guys like polls. I'm just going to say, do you think the production of Eurovision 2026 was adequate? Not good, adequate. Start poll. And I'm just going to give them 20 seconds. 20 seconds to do that and see what they say. You look furious, GJ. Look, I'm looking at your camera with this angry face.
I'm just bracing. I feel like, when they give you the safety announcements on the plane of like, oh yeah, and here's what you do when the oxygen masks come down. Here's where the life jacket is.
So, over 70% of you, I'm going to close the poll straight away, 72% of you say, no, it was not adequate. Not even good. It wasn't even adequate. GJ, what's your take? You don't need to lead. That's fine. That's fine.
No, I'm leaning forward because I'm trying to rest my head on something, because this has been my headache all week, next to the fact that Austrians love rules and do not know what a gray area or own initiative is. But that's another rant for later in the stream. Who was this for? Who made this? Why was this even checked? Over the last couple of years, we've seen broadcasters fall into the trap of trying to recreate what Sweden does, which is one funny song where you break stereotypes, one modern dance performance, and all that kind of stuff. That was all shit. You had 2 hosts doing lip sync karaoke on Thursday. I'm so excited. It makes you wonder damn, can I say the F word on this thing?
Yes you can.
Who the fuck canceled last week? Then also, shout out to the person who tweeted that Michael was stuck in the 70s instead of the 70 years, because that man wasn't funny to anyone except if you have a fetish for freaky uncles. Victoria at rehearsals was literally waiting for the next line to appear on a script, because I know that on Tuesday they gave the commentators a new script 2 minutes before the show started because the writer wasn't done yet. You know what they gave him? 32 pages of just the changes, not a full new script.
So all the commentators had to
do that last minute. Yes.
Do it live on the thing.
Also, why the hell does your flag parade look like 6 different performances when it's supposed to be one thing? Why do you have contestants walking across that catwalk so I can't read the full name of the country that's being announced next? Why the hell do we get an orchestra that's also lip syncing, which makes all your stagehands have to pause doing stuff and have to add an extra break into your finale because they need to get the orchestra out so a contestant can fairly use the back screen. Why the hell are we getting Professor Eurovision stuff, which has great for the first time representation of the LGBT community that was factual and didn't deal with any of the stereotypes of glitter, drag queens, whatever, and started with female representation, queer representation, and then undermined it by having an older gay guy who was the head of show make jokes that he didn't test with a younger audience who now clearly watches the contest.
Yeah.
How the hell did we? No, I'm not done. Okay. Let me go on, because why the hell do we get a constant? Every time, like, when your host is so poor, you put in filler music every time your stage changeover isn't working because your host is so poor they were literally reading Wikipedia facts. I don't understand who made this show, what was it for, why did all that budget go? The only thing good about this show was that damn stage, but also, nobody used it, none of the staging had to do. And if you have such an amazing contestant as JJ Wynn, why the hell is that man doing his song 3 times when you could have let him do other stuff? Why was he lip syncing? It was all terrible. Why the hell do I get a 5-minute Assassin's Creed electro swing thing? Like, why the hell was it? Why does it show violins when the main instrument on that thing was a trumpet? Why the hell is Cesar Simpson in here doing Cesar Simpson doing some goddamn awful karaoke cover of Vienna, which wouldn't even be done in a national final instead of a Waterloo cover? Why the hell is Victoria literally in the dress rehearsal of the finale telling her director to shut the hell up when she's talking? If you're infighting, we notice.
We hear it. We're sat in the room.
Yeah, we were sat in the room.
Also, why is your host wearing shiny pajamas from Temu? Why the hell do we get like a whole spiel in the middle of the voting sequence of whether you win or whether you lose? This is not Miss Universe. We know it's a goddamn competition. Why the hell do you have a stupid green room that is so huge, which, by the way, the one good thing they learned from last year is hide that front of house under it. Why the hell are these people so far apart that they're not united by music? They're divided by stupid big leather couches. If you are good friends with another finalist, you need like 40 minutes to the other side of the green room to even get to them. Why is it called United by Music if we don't see all the contestants in one place all at the same time? Why the hell do we get filler? Literally on the finale, they didn't have as much content. They literally put a stupid after movie in of like all the stuff from Vienna from the entire week. Why does this work? Also, if you're putting queer representation on that screen in that opening, make them kiss. Don't be afraid of any type of broadcaster who does kind of stuff. This was the worst Eurovision in years, and I do feel that in the future, we need to actually put in some type of creative in control for the next 10 years who has a plan, who will help host broadcasters. Because we leave it up to taste, I don't really get what's going on in here. And if you know that over the last 5 years, the younger audience has grown for Eurovision, this was not for them. This was literally, in every case, Eurovision 2013. And I hope that instead of for everyone involved in ORF creatively, this was the last hurrah, because this was definitely the worst Eurovision in a long time. And my final thing is, if I ever hear another pity, well, you didn't end up in the 10, this and that, honey, no. By that point, you know it's a competition. Shut up and get on with those damn televote points.
So now that we've heard your thoughts, out of 10?
Only good thing about this year's song contest were the songs and the artists.
Yep. I have to say, and the thing is, to add to all of that, is that what made it particularly frustrating for me was that it wasn't just that things were bad or shoddy. I can forgive, honestly, if a lot of things are shoddy or a little tacky or don't quite come together. If it feels like it's been crafted with love and soul, I didn't feel any of that at all. The shows felt so flat. It felt like it's like, oh, well, we're doing this because we got kind of, this was foisted upon us, so we're going to do the absolute minimum. I think the thing is, and the other thing to point out is, I think it points to the toxicity of the brand, that this was the power of the intervals that they were able to attract for such a big anniversary. For such a big anniversary, they had, no disrespect to people like Gojo. If one of your main interval acts is with a non-qualifier from the last year, like, I honestly, how many people must have pulled out or said no for us to end up with a set of things that we did? It gets to the point where you think they're just putting whatever they have left in and they've thrown it in at the last minute. It's like, here's a guy with a piano on stage. Here's, like you said, the lip sync. All of these things. It made no sense to me.
I would love to also speak on this, hopefully in a slightly calmer way, because I've watched a lot of Eurovisions. I've been to a lot of Eurovisions at this point. I feel like I can speak about this now. That was a Eurovision that felt designed by people who had never heard of the Eurovision Song Contest. It felt like we'd sent a probe up to fucking Mars, and someone found it and had like read off stone tablets what Eurovision was,
and then
and done it again.
Yeah.
I asked the head of show, who is responsible for the content that goes around the contest, which I will say was excellent, with some of the best stagings we've had, and therefore made this Eurovision entirely watchable, at least when people were performing. And I said, you have, for a 70th anniversary year, there have been 72 winners of the Eurovision Song Contest. How many of them have you asked? What do we do it? What are the big intervals for such a big celebration of the contest? And their response was, oh, well, you said 73 winners. There's actually been 72 winners, and most of those winners are dead, so we can't actually ask them.
If you're insane response, how unhinged is that response, by the way? I cannot believe that was the answer they gave you to that question.
But not just that. Also the fact that and it's mentioned in chat a lot, we got AI slop, we got Snapchat filters in an explanation how
AI throughout the graphics.
But we got a Snapchat filter of the anime stuff in the voting explanation last night from the Professor Eurovision stuff. We got postcards that, listen, this is the funny part. Over the last couple of years, every host country and everyone goes, oh, we're so sustainable. Listen, we got explanations of that throughout the entire week, that a lot of this stuff has now become sustainable. Why are we flying everyone out to project them on a curtain, which looks like, why is Sal da Vinci cuddling a mountain? Please explain this to me.
He was caressing a forest. He was like,
why is this? Listen, he can caress my bush anytime.
Oh, boo! Everyone hates
Sal da Vinci.
Boo!
Sal da Vinci is
digging.
no. I will just say something. Sal da Vinci is an underrated sex symbol from this year, and I mean that. If we can appreciate Linda Lapenia's at her age, we should do the same for Sal. No. There needs to be older men representation for this as well. He can be everyone's dad, and I would love to just. And then to give my final point is, why did they only create 1 minute of music? That
sound's gonna haunt my nightmares.
Yeah, fucking hell.
And why are we spending longer on Eurovision Asia than Junior Eurovision? Why are we, it's just baffling in all these kinds of ways where I was like, who cancelled, who dropped out? This contest would have been a sham on television if it wasn't for Marvin Dietman and Colleen. Colleen was literally the savior of Eurovision this year with her husband, because if she didn't pull everyone on that stage on time and off time, it's just wild. Also, we are hearing now today that the whole Look Mum No Computer not being with his delegation is because his head of delegation wasn't allowed to be in a green room.
So again, an ORF mistake. An ORF mistake that caused consequences for a broadcaster as well.
Do you know where also this venue was so small that if we, during the dress rehearsals, were going for a piss, we could see into the room where contestants were taking off their mics and signing off whether their performance was agreed upon as good. Why the hell do you have a camera breaking in the middle of Czechia after it all went all right all week? Why do you have to add extra breaks because your stagehands needs to be in the other places? This literally felt like they dragged everyone back who did it in 2015 and it just be done. And I'm just like, these are things where we over the last couple of years have seen a movement where the EBU claims to just be facilitating and let more power be in the hands of ORF. I think in this case, you need to take a little bit of power back and go, right, we need to do this and this. Stop doing Eurovision medleys. Stop showing me more different types of culture that cannot be in this competition. Bring back weird, and in this case, it's Russian water dancers on a big plastic thing above the arena, sliding down.
I don't even remember that one.
That's 2009. It's iconic.
Oh, yeah.
Show me weird stuff. Why the hell is your flag parade the slutty version of The Greatest Showman? Why? What does that tell you about Austria? I would have settled for a terrible drag queen doing like Mozart yassified. I don't care. Show me something of that. Show me spoken word performances from a modern, preferably person of color, because let's be honest, there was no Austrian person of color in these shows except for, the one excuse, which is Cesar Simpson, who they just call when Conchita says no clearly on everything, because that man has the charisma of a flower pot. I'm just gonna add this is an edition that I will only watch back for the performances and never come back for anything else.
Michael Ostrovsky, the host, looked not like he was hosting Eurovision 2026, but he looked like he was hosting Top of the Pops 1976.
Yeah.
This show had that tone.
Yeah. So I think overall, Yeah, I think there's a standard that needs to be maintained. I don't feel the standard was maintained this edition, and I think lots of us agree. Gosh, wow, yeah. I mean, the thing is, you've said it all. I don't really have anything to add in terms of the show production. I think we need to have in future, like, there is a certain guarantee of quality that needs to be maintained. There is no shame in bringing in, like, institutional knowledge from other broadcasters if you need to. I think broadcasters need to understand the importance of the event and of the importance of it being hosted and done well. Now we've talked about that, what I'm going to do is, we have Jay waiting in the wings. I am going to send you two away into the Shadow Realm. So thank you so much for being here with us. And one thing I should say is that, GJ, you are taking a precious piece of ESC Game history. You have been awarded the pink Insufficient Reach hat. So that belongs to you now.
But there's sufficient reach between us now.
Okay, right.
Sufficient reach through me.
Okay, that's a little much worse.
Let's ask Jay, because I'm so curious to hear what his press experience is like, because I don't think, I mean, we've all been through it before.
But Jay has never done it before.
Jay's never done it before. And Jay thrived and survived, and I'm really proud of him for that. So Jay, come on in.
You guys go off this way, and if you could take that chair away, because we're not going to need that chair at the end again. Thank you very much to GJ and James. We're going to move on to the next section where we're going to talk a bit more about the show and, of course, about Jay's experience. And so, Jay will magically appear now. Hi.
Hello, Gabe.
How are you, Jay? Why are you still wearing your jacket? We are inside.
Because it looks cool. This gives me 1,000 aura. You can't even lie. Like,
saying that it gives you 1,000 aura is the biggest aura loss you've had on this stream in the entire week, except for maybe the Naruto running. Jay, how are you feeling today? What's your emotions? Where are we? Do we feel alive, firstly?
I'm tired. No, honestly, this week has been, like, it's been the most amazing experience I've ever had. Like, seeing everyone just, like, getting to work, or, like, doing their journalistic jobs. It sounds sarcastic, but, like, it's really cool. Like, everyone's just focused, working.
And busy.
So
busy. And stressed.
And, like, it's been so much fun.
Mm-hmm. It's weird because on one hand you have like a really amazing experience with everyone. You know, we're all doing all this, and I'm looking around the room at all of the sort of people who are here and who've been on the stream this week and who've been helping us all out. Cynthia just gave me a little wave. Everyone, I'm waving at all of you. Hi GJ, hi Sam, hi Marco, and James is. I think he's gone outside for a minute. Oh, is he? He's on the floor somewhere. James is literally lying on the floor, so he's having a tough day. And John Waddle. And John Waddle is around here somewhere, but I actually don't know where he's gone. Oh, really? Okay, I feel like he might get thrown at us in a minute. Yeah, you can throw John Waddle. Come on. Not from back there, though, because you'll hit the key light. It is really incredible seeing the work that everyone gets done. So he's still deflating, by the way. Look, he's much more squishy than he was before.
Oh, no. What's happened?
I don't know. I think he's just, maybe this...
Saw the 3 live shows, what Aura did to it, and he got a bit deflated.
Yeah, what GJ says is John Waddle saw the live shows and it's had an impact on him. He makes such a loud noise when he drops on the floor. Yeah, I mean, it is obviously incredible seeing all the work that gets done, people who are working really hard. It's also, as well, I will say, and I'm sure you felt it too, it was a pressure cooker in that way, in that room, in ways that it shouldn't be.
Yes.
Because there was this constant cloud hanging over everyone the entire week, and you could feel it, especially if you combine the mood on Monday and Tuesday to Wednesday and Thursday, when Israel was in semi-1, wasn't in semi-2, and how different the two semi-finals felt. Maybe you could talk a bit about that.
Yeah, Wednesday and Thursday were the best days of the week, definitely. Because there was, like, no pressure, right? We didn't have to worry about, we just didn't really have any worries those 2 days, and it was really nice. I mean, I did lose one of my favorites on Thursday, so I'm like...
Well, we'll talk about that. We'll get into the splits in a minute, because what me and Jay are going to be doing is going through the show, and picking out some of the narratives, talking about the results a bit more. There was, I have to say, one of the most statistically extraordinary semi-final results I've ever seen. And I would argue, on a purely statistical basis, and I'm curious if anyone in the room agrees with this, the biggest robbery we've ever seen.
Yes.
If you look at what happened. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm seeing some nods, I'm seeing some raised eyebrows, but me and Jay will talk about it. So we will talk about all of that.
You deserve exactly what I got.
Okay, we'll come on to it. So we'll talk about all of that and about the people who we feel sorry for, about the big shocks in the semi-final votes. First, Jay, let's have a little look down this final board. I want to pick up on a few things. Let's start at the bottom. Ukraine and the UK, friends for life.
Okay, so
What happened? Did we deserve any more points?
I think we did at least deserve 1 point. Like, come on. We took a risk, okay? We didn't send the same kind of stuff that we usually do.
This is true.
And I think we should have been awarded for it. I did say at some point in one of these streams that if the UK got 0 in the televote, I would eat this desk.
Oh dear, this is a big desk.
That's how sure I was. So I am just, I'm so sad. I'm so sad. Like, what does the UK have to do?
We are, I mean, the thing is, right, I think this didn't come together. It was an ambitious, maybe overly ambitious project from the BBC that simply didn't click, right? It didn't come together when we needed it to. And as a result, you know, we've ended up in this position again. But honestly, we all saw it coming. Interestingly, I saw a comment, GJ commented in chat and said that the UK would have done much better if Greece didn't send Ferto. I think, well, it's certainly clear that you almost have these mini competitions, right? Where you have, you know, high energy, fun songs are almost competing against each other for a lot of the same people who are going to connect with those kinds of things.
Yeah.
They can overshadow. A good example of this was in the case of the sort of rocky metally songs where Voyager won the semi-final in 23, then did really badly with the televote in the final because everybody voted for Cha Cha Cha.
Yeah,
Things
exactly.
like this. I'm just keeping an eye on the super chat, which I've probably fallen really far behind again. I am, I think I may actually be 20 minutes behind once again.
Oh my God.
I'm going to have to find my place. There we go. It's there. So in a couple of minutes, I'll go to that. I think it's this one from Scott. So Scott, I hope you're still here because your super chat was 22 minutes ago and I haven't mentioned it yet, but I promise you I haven't forgotten it. Moving slightly up, 3 televote zeros. Did any of them surprise you?
UK, no. Germany, no. Belgium, no. Okay, the thing is, like, these are like decent songs on their own, right? But like, if you look at the wider competition, it's not going to be your favorite. I mean, Germany's points probably got sucked up by Dara.
Yeah, exactly. It lost the Girl Bop race.
Exactly, yeah.
Conclusively, it got hammered in the Girl Bop race.
Yeah.
Destroyed, obliterated.
Literally not even a competition anymore. Like, yeah. I'm very happy that Austria managed to get some points as well. Because he deserves it. He was just having fun this whole season.
I was so worried he'd get a 0. But
Yeah.
the fact that even though he only got 6 points, the fact he didn't get a 0, he got a point. I mean, if we look at the Tanzschein points, 5 televote points from Germany. For once, Germany does something that is actually welcome in this song contest. And 1 in the jury from Luxembourg, which had a bit of a, sort of was a bit random this year. They were a bit all over the shop, but that was fine. Yeah, I'm not surprised by any of the zeros either. I think we all suspected correctly that Belgium would really lean on the jury to get through. That's exactly what happened.
Yep.
It wasn't the only one to do that, and there was a really shocking one, which we'll talk about in a minute. Germany, we always expected it to be down there. I thought she'd done enough to get a few points. I was impressed by her performance. But I mean, there we go. A few jury points and not much else, including the Italian jury, which just does whatever it wants. I mean, the Italians, quite frankly, sometimes I wonder whether they just throw darts at a board to decide what points they're deciding. 12 for Belgium, 10 for Sweden, 8 for Malta. Where's their 7 around here? 7 for Ukraine, 6 for Poland. Some more explicable than others. But I don't know, they just saw dancing on the ice and they were like, wow.
This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Incredible. We love this.
Coming from Italy as well, I feel like they're quite pretentious with their music. So
I don't know. It depends on who the jurors are. I guess, I don't want to lean too much into these stereotypes. I should catch up on these super chats because I'm now even further behind. Scott says, can we talk about Sweden really underperformed in the final? If it were up to the publics in the semis, would have been beaten by San Marino. Yes, we're going to come on to that in a minute. Don't worry, Paul. Scott, sorry. Paul says there's a theory. EBU decided to have Eurovision in the Balkans. They contacted BNT and TVR, which paid more would win. That's complete nonsense. Total nonsense. I can debunk that in its entirety. That's a conspiracy theory. Poland won the semi-final the same way Latvia won in 2025. I agree. So proud of my country. Polska Górom. GJ says, thank you for the hat. You're welcome, GJ. Phenomenally Anomaly says, can't believe Veronica got TikToks. We'll come on to that in a minute as well. The hosts had the charisma of wet bread, says Carlos, and I agree. Jakobat says, as an Austrian, I'm incredibly sorry. The script was incredibly awful. Yes, it was. Absol for Life says, professional Eurovision segments were abysmal. Postcards were lazy. I couldn't believe the lip syncing the whole Australia song too. Yep. The next one, Tura says, we were robbed of an amazing split screen between Bulgaria and Romania. That would have been magical. I agree.
That would have been amazing.
It would have been such a wonderful, beautiful moment. Zoe says, as an Austrian, I'm so pissed. We have such funny people and so much to offer, and they do this absolute shit. Yes, agree. I am Miss Olds says, zero lies detected. Melomanka says, I hate the university segments. Looked like the EBU were angry at all the negative comments and lectured us we're wrong because we're ignorant. So it was an ORF production, remember, not EBU, that decides these things, especially replacing LGBTIA+ with H for human. What cringe. That was awful. Everybody boo. Boo. There we go.
Fucking donuts.
Marco says, but is Blas Canto no longer my favourite? Well, Marco, is Blas Canto still your favourite? He's shaking his head. He is now the Bangaranga. Haircut Buller says, I mean, he's right, and he can every point he can get 12 points for that speech. GJ, they enjoyed your speech very much. GJ for head of the EBU. GJ should replace Martin Green, says Nadia, and Phenomenally Anomaly. Ayabu says, crash out of the century. As an Austrian, thank you so much for putting my thoughts into words. This shit was so ass. Icebreaker says, GJ, you would win in a battle against Martin Green. Beeve says, hey, just want to say thanks for everything. Help me finding some enjoyment in this interesting year. Luckily, I made money betting on Bulgaria, so here's a little something. Thank you so much. Nice. GG the Fifth, thank you for your super chat as well. Starry Sorcerer says, I never want to hear about a bad word from the fan about cheering again after this. Cheering was better than this. I'm sorry.
No. Equally bad.
Okay, we're saying equally as bad. Cheering was more fun than this week. In terms of less doom. That it felt less doom, and it had this beautiful moment of solidarity, which is what it should be remembered
And
for.
Alessandro in a green suit, that was so tight.
Yeah, okay, we're not talking about the host in the tight green suit. I thank you for the membership. 15 months, which is incredible. Thank you so much. Hosts are wooden. Interval acts were dire. Results were a big bag of what the fuck. It felt like their inspiration was a cheap run fan contest somewhere on Twitter. I disagree. Fan contests usually have higher production value. Graham Martin says, what's the story with excluding the UK delegation? It was ORF weren't allowing some people into the green room. I don't know if they were meant to be there or not. Can we make GJ's rant the elevator music at ORF HQ? Yes. Money for cheeses, snacks, says Orna. Thank you guys. You're the only reason I had interest in the contest. Rest well. Love you so much, Orna. So glad you're here. Slick Peacock says, been following since the Madness in Malmö. Thank you to you and your crew for all of your hard work you've done this week. What would you want to have in Sophia 27 in terms of production, interval acts, etc.? Good question. I'll come back to that once we've done the super chats. Metalcore Rat says, I noticed a pattern 21st century. Each time a Balkan country wins, the winning country was a country with a similar flag. Therefore, Lithuania is winning next year. Thoughts? Well, I'd love Eurovision in Lithuania.
I'd love that.
I would love a series of first-time winners now. If you need something to reignite the contest, remove Israel and then have a series of first-time winners. Such a great way. Take us to a bunch of places we haven't been to before. Sweden not qualifying under last year's system, says Rick. Yes, well, luckily, she got out of their system in this one. Well, hey, I'm so funny.
Oh my God.
Thanks, Rick. Stumbling Through says, if Eurovision continues to be as homogenized, poorly presented, repackaged and crafted without love as this, I still won't watch even if Israel goes. Yeah, people will still vote with their feet. It has to be entertaining. If it's not, people won't watch. Jay, Justice for our Queen Veronica, says Sunday. Baby Puppy says, closest UK got to a point was 18th.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
We didn't finish higher than 18 anywhere. That has to be one of the statistically worst televote results ever.
18th.
Gabe Sotera says, late to the live stream, but I need to say that Gabe reading out Bangaranga's lyrics lives rent-free in my head. Oh no, okay, I gotta find my place again. This was disaster, says Porcelain Girl. Glad for Bulgaria's first win, but big L for Israel even being in contention to win. Everyone boo. Boo! There we go. Very good. Cosmic Chaos says, some crazy-eyed woman dominating the televote is making me ecstatic. It was a great night for the female gaze. Yes, indeed. Jamie JSG says, I cursed the entry on live stream by saying it would get at least one televote point. You did. It's all your fault. Zalandi, what does the UK need to do? Send Sam Ryder? Yes, bring him back. I have personal beliefs we need to go back to nature for the UK. We need to remind everyone of who are the masters of punk rock. Yes, but it has to be of a international standard. We can't just... We have to send something that is good enough and current enough as well. Voitav, thank you for the super chat. Ethan says, thoughts on getting radio? Want to pick the entry instead? Yes, please. This is the first thing that Ula did to turn their fortunes around, was get the different radio station involved. It's Orkta says, the UK should send something Welsh or Scottish, perhaps. We lack that representation. I agree. Nearly there. Voitav says, 9 points for Daniel is our third highest televote score in the final. It feels a little depressing, but super proud. Proud of the Czechs too. It's awful they didn't let you perform again. Onosara says, do you think the UK needs to do a McLaren F1 team from 2023 where they turned it around? Well, if they can turn it around that fast, that would be great. Great. Bangaranga gave heavy K-pop vibes. It was a testament to the popularity of K-pop. My money is on South Korea for Eurovision Asia. Yes, too. All the Philippines are going to bring it, I'm sure as well. Cyprus was a jury qualifier. Yes, inexplicable. We'll come to that in a moment. BBC should use BBC introducing. I'm almost there. Jiva the Diva placed last in every televote besides Malta, where she placed second to last. Queen of Bussy. I agree, YSO. But that was Planet Perry was the last one by the one. And Martigas says, Poland and Bulgaria show stage and carry. So happy. Yes, they were great. Once Woozy says, that asshole Rasmus Gotti having the last laugh on my system is low-key tragic. No, he didn't. Felicia escaped. She had a massive hit and now she's going to have a big career. He did not get the last laugh. The Big Steed says, Jiva the Diva was last in all televotes but Malta. Funny. Can we seriously talk about the Moldovan Minister of Culture badgering their jury by asking only 3 points to Romania? Holy moly. This is not the first time we've seen this. There was an international incident between Greece and Cyprus once. Yes. It will blow over, though.
Yeah.
Adam says, thank you for making those of us boycotting countries feel so welcome to the community this year. I found my love for Eurovision again this week. Miss you guys. Miss you too. We love you so
Adam.
much. Danda says, can you guys spread this 25 amongst each other for the wonderful work? Thank you for bringing joy to this season for me. Drinks are all on me later, guys.
Yay. Thanks, Gabe.
So, there we go. And I got through all of them. Woo! So, okay, we're back up to date now. I will do that again, probably another 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some other of these results. Things that really stuck out. Finland. Let's say 6th place, 138, 141. The public and jury essentially in total agreement. Mm-hmm. It's a good result.
Yeah.
But look at the proportion of the points from the Nordics. I have to say a shout out to Ben Robertson, ESC Insight, this week said to me, remember Barabara Bastu? Liakinhetin was the Barabara Bastu of this year. If you look at this points breakdown, its appeal was dramatically amplified among its immediate neighbours and then fell off everywhere else. Finns, I'm so sorry. I really thought I had been cautious enough to not curse it. I deliberately said, I'm not sure. I think it's the favourite, but it's not going to landslide. It's going to be close. The mood music around this is not right. It doesn't pass the smell test. Something is not right. That was the instinct. I tried to suppress it because all of these other signs were looking so good and I wanted to believe, but it didn't happen.
It's so weird, honestly. Like all of the polls or the odds, the model, like everything was pointing towards Finland winning. And 6th place, obviously, such a good result. It's better than what they got last year.
But I would understand if they were disappointed today.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, on one hand, you know, it's a massive success to make an entry that has such broad appeal that pulled in points from almost everywhere, right? They got lots of small points and stuff, and in most places where they didn't get the jury, you can see down the bottom, they got the televote or vice versa. At the same time, I just think, you know, we have to be honest and say, okay, why didn't this work? Because it didn't work in the way we were expecting it to. Mm-hmm. Was it too cold? Was it too dark? You know, it just didn't match the mood that people were looking for on that specific night. It kind of felt, there's a real sense of doom in this song, and maybe having a song that with such a sense of doom turns people off in a year where there's such a sense of doom. And it just didn't come together. And I thought it was so good this week. I thought it looked so professional, so nice, and yet we're here now.
I just find this result really confusing.
I feel like I understand it. And I feel like there were people whose instincts said this was coming. And again, I remember at UMK seeing the concept, and I said to you, I turned to you and Cynthia and said, this is a winning concept.
Yeah.
The execution isn't winning yet. The execution didn't change that much. It was really good. It'll be remembered as a really cool performance and staging, and hopefully an important moment for the contest with Linda playing that violin live. I hope that starts a new trend, a new precedent. But peak too soon, overhyped, clearly, and even our excitement being held back because we were careful and we knew that we have a tendency to overestimate Finland. And I know the thing is, I get criticism for this. I have stated on pretty much every stream, every video I've done about Finland this year, I've stated my bias. I've stated, I know I overestimate Finland.
Yeah.
I've said it so that you can put what I say into context. You know, I'm not going to, you know, how I feel about something. Obviously, our biases, conscious and unconscious, are going to affect what we say, what we do. What I'm doing to counteract that is telling you guys about it first. Hopefully you felt that. And so they haven't won yet. At the same time, the results are consistently good enough. At some point, they will go over the top.
Yeah.
I don't know what is going to bring it right now, but I feel like if they just keep doing their thing, they will keep having these strong results. They can be in a position like Sweden where every now and then it happens. May Muller continues to have the second most televote points in the UK for the past 5 years. Indeed.
And how many points did she get? 9?
8, 9, something like that. It was very few. It was
single digits.
It was not a tour de force, I would say, in terms of its score or the vocal performance.
But like, honestly, what does Finland have to do?
I mean, I do still wonder. It's easy to wonder about certain things in UMK. I think Antti Palonen would have done better with the public, worse than the jury. Ended up in a similar place. I don't think anything in that show could have done any better. So I think this was still their maximum kind of peak. But I think they had their staging. They stuck with it. UMK was very late this year. Maybe it didn't allow for as many changes. Remember, Carrier's staging changed a lot from UMK in 23. Yeah. So maybe having UMK earlier, and I believe it's been confirmed as mid-February again next year, will give them a little bit more time to reevaluate if they wish to.
Yeah.
Let's see. Still a good result. Couple more headlines out of this final that I want to quickly go through. Here's one for us. One that is a happy moment for us. Viva Moldova, 183 points from the public. I think the audience poll saw this coming. What a triumph, a personal triumph for Satoshi. And what a personal triumph for someone who, let's not forget, started this season with what essentially amounted to a political manifesto on Instagram about the importance of Moldova's place in Europe, and closed it with the words, "I stand against genocide."
Yep.
And I'm really glad this worked out. Such an emotional involvement for us. Yes. I thought this was a performance so full of joy at every single stage. I would have loved to see it get a 12 from the jury so that we could have had it. I thought that would happen with Romania or Ukraine, and it didn't. It was an 8 and a 10. I knew this was where the 12s were coming, though.
Oh, yeah.
It nailed on. It was going to be Ukraine and Romania. And for some reason, Italy was like, that's what we like. Italy is feeling very Moldovan this morning. How did you find this performance, this response?
This performance got us so hyped. During, I think it was like towards the end of the song, me and Cynthia had a little dance, and Gabe as well.
Yeah.
It's good vibes. It's such a good song. It has a strong message. The fact that it got 10 from rest of the world as well is I'm very happy with that. Yeah. They should be proud of this result, especially after coming back, after, revamping everything. It's going to motivate them to keep going.
Yeah, and I was really impressed with the way, how they put it together. And they clearly realised at the broadcaster early that they were onto something special. And they're like, okay, this makes sense for us to put a little more in. So the broadcaster, got some funding together and put some more in so they could deliver this to the standard that was required. And it really, really came together. I'm also impressed with the fact that they even put that national final together. They, were very resourceful in the way they did it. Local expertise, exclusively staffed basically by people employed directly by the broadcaster. Yep. They had a moving rail camera, which was a man with a camera being pushed on a trolley by another guy. They were resourceful. They had it was like the Moldovan, sort of the biggest bank in Moldova, and the arena itself sponsored it. So they really pulled it together. They just made it work, and I'm so proud of them. And their semi result, which we'll come on to in a minute, was really exceptional. Going a bit further down, we come into the shocks, shall we say. Greece.
Oh.
for Greeks, and I'm sure there's many of you in chat right now, I imagine you're hurting this morning because this was definitely below what was even my lowest expectation. I thought 200 for the public was likely.
Yeah.
I thought the juries would still get on board a little more than they did. And yet, here we are. I mean, what do you think it was that took the edge off this result?
I genuinely don't know. I thought it was an amazing performance. The song is great. It's fun. It's catchy. It can appeal to anyone. Like, I don't know. Maybe Bangaranga was too strong.
Well, I mean, this thing is maybe people, if it was the high energy voters lost to Bangaranga, maybe. I do also wonder, there were some people who kind of found the staging too much. And it was this kind of maximalist thing that I think really appealed to some people. Maybe that wedge was a little narrower than we expected because I thought that maximalist style would turn people off. But the reason I didn't get concerned about that is that I thought the voting bloc would stay large enough. I think people found it messy. And also, I do wonder, do you think people maybe, because the AI discourse has been going on all week. If people saw things and thought, that looks like AI to me, that might then make some people go, ugh.
See,
It's difficult to say. We're kind of reading the tea leaves here with this.
See, I don't know because most of the performance is with physical props. I don't really think that the LED screen being AI generated would affect like the score that much.
There we go. I think, I mean, there is also the thing, and people are pointing this out in chat, you had Moldova, you had Romania, you had all these other televote big hitters.
Yeah.
I mean, if we look at the televote results for a second, you can see that they all essentially, they were all really fighting with each other. We'll discount Israel because this score is illegitimate. But if you look from Romania downwards, Romania managed to separate itself a bit with 2-3-2. Obviously, Bulgaria soared off into the distance. But Moldova, Ukraine, Italy, Greece, Finland, and Australia, really, in this kind of middle group where they detached from the field,
Yeah.
but didn't get into that high place. I wonder whether there's a lot of things appealing to the same people. They had a lot of options, and they chose them all equally.
Yeah.
There was a buffet, and they couldn't eat all of it. Metaphors.
Great metaphor. Well done, Gabe.
Everyone in the room looked very impressed.
No one's listening.
Yeah, no one's listening at all. I think everyone's exhausted. I have loads of energy now. I could do this all night. I won't, but no, we'll go through. I don't want to go past sort of like 6:30, so an hour or so. I think that's kind of where I'll cut off, and I do want to sort of speak. I'll speak more generally in the contest. I'm going to do another monologue. I'll warn you in advance. If we go back to resetting it to the actual order, we should, by the way, just take a moment for Romania. What a wonderful result on return again.
Yeah.
A testament. So much of this, by the way, was the staging was actually, it was good. It was reasonably, like there wasn't many massive props. So they kept the stuff that they used into the relatively affordable but resourceful category. Alexandra Capitanescu adds 150 points to this song.
Yes.
Her the way, like the eye contact in the camera, everything about it was so powerful. How much do you like this now compared to the start of Eurovision week?
Oh, I love this a lot more. A lot more. The staging really adds to it. Her acting during the performance is incredible. Like, who would have thought Romania would, like, have this result?
I mean, this is what happens when, because we think about what happened in 23 before they withdrew, where they had an artist with no creative team and no experience. They ran roughshod over him anyway. It was a total mess. They realized early on they had no chance. So no money was put into it basically, and the entire thing completely toppled over and fell apart.
Yeah.
This time, clearly, the money from Alexandra's label or from the broadcaster, or whoever else, went to the right people in the right places to make this happen because it came together so nicely, so nicely. And we should say as well, how amazing, like we said before, would a Romania and Bulgaria split screen have been at Eurovision? I think we would have watched that with just pure joy. And it's such a shame that was stolen from us by the illegitimate conduct of Israel. Let's go further down the scoreboard to sort of a few other shocks. So I think we should take a little look at, there's a couple here. I'm going to say Czechia and Malta, where I'm not necessarily surprised about the results, but it goes to show, in Czechia's case especially, as we'll see, these big jury leaners in the final, it's a legitimate strategy for a reasonable finish. to really, really forcefully pursue the jury vote and not really worry too much about what the public thinks.
Yeah.
Do you think Czechia and Malta can be happy with these results? Do you think they deserved more?
I'm biased towards Czechia, of course.
Yeah.
My favorite song of the year. I am quite sad. They deserve to perform again.
I think they completely deserve to perform
Yeah.
again. It was such a total loss on TV of the biggest moment of the performance.
Exactly.
Destroyed.
Yeah.
Although it was really funny. Did you see in the recap when it cut to them, they all froze while
Very
waving
yeah.
deliberately? It was quite funny. So evidently by the end of the night they'd calmed down, but I think at the time they were very, very upset. As for Malta, all those ads just shows that advertising only really works if you're activating a base of support that you already have. This is a really important point. You can't win votes that you wouldn't already in theory have by advertising. What it works like is a get out the vote campaign like at an election. Let me tell you something that you won't know as someone who's worked as an election organizer. All those leaflets you get through your door, especially in the last 3 weeks of the election, if you're getting a leaflet through your door from a political party that has long had presence in your area within the last 2 weeks of the election, especially if it's telling you details of when the polling station opening times are and the date and everything, they think there is a good chance you will vote for them, and therefore they're putting the details in front of you, not to convince you of anything, to remind you of the election day and that you need to go and vote. That is how advertising, when it comes to competitions you can vote in, works as well. So, Israel has this supportive base it can activate in that way. Those people just need to know the time, the day, and how to vote. If they have that information, they will do that. If you're Aden and you're Malta and you're putting these big billboards everywhere, that's not going to move the dial. These people don't know who you are, and therefore, if they just see your face, they might on the night, but they're like, oh yeah, I saw an advert. It doesn't have any effect.
Yeah.
So you can think about advertising campaigns in Eurovision as a get out the vote strategy rather than a vote winning strategy. That's why it's so effective in some cases and not effective in others. And this is the same thing. Dara doing messages in Bulgarian. It is in their interest for Bulgarians across Europe and for Romania, for Romanians across Europe, as an example, for people who are sympathetic, who are likely to tune in, to know they can then go and vote. This is how these things work, right? And when if you then massively resource them as Israel does, it has extraordinary effects. So I think that's a sort of explanation for why Malta's advertising failed so dramatically. Sweden, I'm not going to talk about because we're going to go to the semi-result and talk about this. Okay. Semi-final one. First things first. An unreserved, total apology from me to the person who I was most wrong about in Eurovision 2026. Alicia, I was so wrong. I was so wrong, and the public and the juries have pulled my pants down in front of everyone, and they're pointing at me and laughing.
Who would have thought Poland would have gotten basically first in the semi-final? Like, what? We all thought this was an NQ.
We all thought
at
it
the
was.
start of the week.
And
at the start of the week?
Okay, GJ thought he was qualifying at the start of the week. Well, GJ, that's what I think.
Did you have earplugs in during the pre-parties? Honey.
Okay, fine. Yeah, maybe we should have. This is a good point. Maybe we should have seen these indications earlier. But I have to say, vocally flawless. Every run of every show this week, vocally flawless. The staging. They had this awful staging at the national final.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is the thing, right? All these delegations, they see the same things as us. If we all think something sucks, they probably do too.
Yeah.
They clearly looked at that and they was like, well, that's terrible. Let's throw that out and start again. The way they transformed it into making it feel like a performance where she was leading, and she was and the dancers were echoing her and amplifying her rather than distracting was brilliant. This is an example of what happens when you get every single thing right. Because if it was like the national final performance, no, it wouldn't have qualified, or it would have been very, very close.
Yeah.
They added on probably 150 points in the week. The other thing is that I think, you see just how strong the jury scores are. And incredibly, she got the job done. It was done on Monday night.
Yeah.
And she didn't need anything from the public. So she could have got 0 from the public and still got through. What an amazing job. And honestly, I have to say, on a purely sentimental level, taking away all the analysis of this section, right? This is somebody who earned this chance 6 years ago and never got their moment on stage. If there was anyone who deserved this and for everything to go perfectly on a sentimental level, I think it was her.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, she's been waiting for this for so long.
And look, it's also a lesson to learn for actually a lot of people who wrote this off, including myself, which is that sometimes, especially in national finals, where the national final has a production of, a sort of, well, it was terrible. I mean, come on. We should, to give it more grace. And I think next year, I am going to make a conscious effort to give a lot more people more grace.
Yeah.
Writing people off too quickly, leads to things like this. And that's something, we should always reevaluate. So that is obviously, in my opinion, the biggest headline of this. When we saw this last night, we were all very, very shocked. Moving down, obviously Finland performed very highly. I think that's kind of as expected. But what we should say is, once you remove the fact that the public vote once again was manipulated by Israel, if you take that away, the winner of the televote in this semi-final would have been our boy. So we already talked about it, but I just want to say what an extraordinary result. It had the split we expected, but it did qualify with the jury. If we go to the jury, there you can see 8th place. One sec, I'll just go reset. Moving further down, Belgium. We were very surprised by this, and Sweden. This is, it's stunning.
Never seen anything like it.
Let's take a little look at this public vote result. Sweden, 3rd from last, beaten by Senate and Boy George, beaten by Bandido Stocante, beaten by Tamara Zivkovic, and had 1/3 of the points of Vanilla Ninja.
No, you cannot tell me you predicted this, because no one in the universe could have predicted this. This result is insane.
There's so, this bottom end, we did say one thing we got right. We predicted that Montenegro would qualify with the public. It did. It came 10th. Mm-hmm. But I don't think anyone saw just how badly this did. And even the juries were cool on it, is the incredible thing. If you look at this, we were 17 points away. 17 points away from the most extraordinary upset in the contest history. What would have happened for Sweden if you had removed one of these two, Belgium or Italy, from the semi-final? Let's swap them with someone else. What would have happened if Latvia was in this semi-final with Estonia and Lithuania?
Obviously we'll never know, but it would not be good
It
for
was
them.
that close. It was that close to going horribly wrong for Sweden.
Yeah.
This will be a slap in the face for them, I'm sure. I think it's a wake-up call because, you saw Melfest this year. How many of those songs, honestly, at Melfest would have qualified for this final other than Felicia?
I'm a strong Kimberly believer.
No, it wouldn't have. It wouldn't have.
Yes! Yes, it would have.
Fashion Jesus.
I don't think it would have. Copacabana Boy. No, Copacabana Boy, it wouldn't have qualified, sorry.
No, absolutely not.
Also, I want to say a small apology to Vanilla Ninja, who came... You guys... a small apology to Estonia, who came 9th with the public and would have qualified under last year's system. It did have some public appeal. We should point out that 24 of the 79 points came from Finland and Lithuania. But that would suggest 12 more at least from Latvia, surely, and then another 9 from Sweden. I thought it would have some appeal. You thought it would come 7th.
Yeah.
You were way closer than I expected. It's quite something, isn't it?
Yeah.
There was never any hope for it, but it does say, by the way, this was a really favourable setup for Estonia. it does show that there are a lot of songs. Getayani through with ease in this semi.
Oh, yeah.
Getayani
Oh, yes.
would have got 125 points.
With her staging concept from Estilal.
Even
yeah.
as it was at Estilal,
Yeah.
way more jury friendly, would have held on to a lot of this public, would have got the 12 from Finland probably, and would have sailed through. So I actually think Getayani, can't believe I'm saying this, Getayani would have been Estonia's best option from Estilal this year. There are others that would have qualified too. I think Anton Minimal Wind would have had a good chance. Very jury leaning, like 80 or 90 jury,
Yeah.
10 from the public.
Yeah.
Klischerik and Mac would have struggled because of the nature of the song and some of the other songs in this semi. I think that Nerp threw easily, about the same score as Getayani.
Yeah.
And I think Ollie also threw.
Oh, Ollie maybe would have been the best option.
Lots of good options.
I will say though, Getayani's song was, I think it was my favourite of Estilal this year.
Yeah.
So I have taste.
Stockholm Cowboys would have taken us to Estonia 2027, says somebody. I'm not so sure about that. I'm happy for Lithuania. There were a lot of worries. The scores weren't great, but it did qualify on both sides.
Yes.
This was a big disagreement, but we should say the jury got all 10. All 10 of the jury qualifiers were through. The public got 8 because the juries really went hard for Sweden and Belgium. We're going to go to semi-2, which was even more shocking in a second.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But first, I want to quickly do the super chats again. I'm going to find where we got to. I think I'm behind 20 again. 20 minutes, right. Jack Neville says, only good thing in production was Graham Norton's commentary. I can imagine that. ESC AMTV says, we need to talk about fan brain because God forbid you critiqued Finland this year. Fans treated like it was the second coming. It is difficult because once a narrative takes hold, we have to question that more in future, right? And I think I might get things more wrong next year. But if I do that, I would like to do that by deliberately trying to look for more ways in which the prevailing narratives could be wrong, because I think it's better to try and sort of keep that conversation open. Bookboo says, really proud of Linda and Pitta, but this really hurts. Once again, massively flopped relative to expectations. Genuinely doesn't feel like we can win. You absolutely can. I think it's just this didn't come together, for the reasons we outlined before. It doesn't mean you can't win. Please keep trying. Juries were like, 12 points go to Bulgaria, Poland, Malta, Australia, France, Italy, Denmark, Finland, Greece, Ukraine, Czechia, Cyprus, Romania, Serbia, Norway, Belgium, and Albania. Did it all in one breath.
That was impressive.
They were like, okay, we're going to give them to everybody.
You get a point.
Serbia and Albania gave each other televoting points. The Balkans were truly united by music. War is over. Peace has come. Congratulations, Serbia and Albania. Carlos Camejo says 2027, Finland farts on stage. Gabe says, is this winning? I promise I won't get to that. JG says Sweden always wins, this time with background choreography. Well, there we go. Indeed. Nintendo's Trickster says, I haven't paid attention to Eurovision since 2010, but after your videos kept getting recommended, I got really invested and I got that production on my return and the fear of the results. I'm so sorry, but I hope you still enjoyed your experience this season. Let me quickly go full screen while I'm reading these out. Come on, let's keep going. Joseph Many says, clear the UK have gone backwards, big changes are needed. Do you think ITV should take over? No, the BBC have more resources. There are things in the BBC they can use that they're not using yet. We talked about Radio 1, there's that and others. Sunglasses on Eurovision stage definitely hurt, says Europunzel. Yeah.
Do you think?
That's the evidence we have. Maybe. It could be that if people feel obstructed from you in some way, didn't help. Bernadette says, what do you think about rank-based televoting? Would it help spread the love more or deter bad faith? It would make us have a jury winner every year. Because what you would get is, those kinds of things, they basically flatten out the bottom and top and you end up with a junior Eurovision style thing where the juries decide the junior Eurovision winner every single year. This is a computer, says, as a Greek, Ferto felt weak as a song, just because the staging was nuts doesn't negate the AI usage and the stage in the MV and the staging. Also, old people exist. Yep, didn't come together. Once Woozy says, do you think if they revealed the semi-scores after each semi, it would have changed people's idea of how the grand final would go? Yes, of course, but also that would be a massive influence on the competition that would be a terrible idea. They should definitely not do that. X-Orca says, can we talk about the fact Vanilla Ninja would have made it to the grand final if Israel wasn't there?
Could you imagine? You
There
would
we
be
go.
apologizing to them right now.
So Israel has robbed you of Vanilla Ninja coming on this stream, which was planned by me and the Estonian delegation, and me apologizing to their faces. I keep saying, look what they're taking away from us. There's yet another thing. Greshula would have done great. Jonas loved it. I'm not sure about that song. I think it would have qualified, but it's so derivative, right? That I'm not sure it would have done well. I'm seeing a lot of very tired people in this room, by the way. Don't worry, we'll all get dinner soon. Lena says, so sad for Felicia, but I hope it will cause a rethink for SVT like Anna Bergendahls NQ. This year's Mellow wasn't great song-wise, exactly as we said. Melissa says, so proud of Lavina as a metal fan. They got their name out there, hoping for a successful career in metal, not just in Serbia and Europe in general. They did great.
Yes,
great.
they did very good.
3 figures with the televote. And in the semi-final, we should say, by the way, Serbia came 5th with 187 points, and they qualified with the jury. For a song like this, that is tough.
Yeah.
And they did it. Admittedly, that was because they got 12 points from Montenegro and 7 from Croatia, which booted them up 19, but there we go. Next, we have Pippintastic. Question, Gabe. Do you think a system of countries in the opposite semi voting for the other would work? Interesting. Not voting in your own semi. That, I would love to see them do that. That is so interesting. I think that's a great idea, and it gives...
They should try that.
And it would probably elevate the viewing figures because it would give people reason to watch both sets. That is a great idea.
Oh my God,
Why did we
wait.
never think of that?
How can we tell them this?
EBU, if you're watching, what an amazing idea. That is the best idea anyone has had on these streams all week. Gosh, brilliant. Zilandi says, as a Sweden, not as a Swede, as a Sweden, I didn't expect Sweden to do well, but man, we got brutalised. I feel like the UK did better despite their one. It wasn't that bad. You know, you guys kept your streak. That's the most important thing. Yeah. Copacabanga boy, says Postman Jeps. Eurovision 26 is over. Bulgaria has won, says ESC Uploads. It's been 113 days since Luxembourg Song Contest. I still have, hey, I am a dog, throw me a bone stuck in my head.
It's been 100 and...
God,
Jesus.
remember the plagiarism scandal? We almost had Steve, hey, I am a dog, Castile at Eurovision.
That would be awful.
Euro Twink says Bulgaria 100% killed it, but I'm so perplexed at them scoring so much higher on the jury criteria than Czechia and Finland. Composition and originality. Think about the age of those jurors. Under 25s will have been all over that. Wait until you see the breakdowns. I bet you'll see lots of juries where there were 2 who had them first.
Yeah, probably.
Let's talk about Semi 2 now. Now we've got through that. I'm back up to date with the Super Chats. I'll do one more run after Semi 2. And then after Semi 2, I'm going to sort of do my closing bit because I'm seeing a lot of tired people who would quite like to have dinner. And we did say about 2 hours today. So, Bangaranga topped Semi 1. People have been asking, I'm going to start with this. People have been asking questions about the jury score because it came 5th with 94 in the semi. Remember, Espresso Macchiato, for example, did badly with the televote last year. It came like 5th and then did much better in the final. You often see these kind of wrinkles. Usually you don't need to read into them too much. It's also about the specific complexion of what countries are in the semi-final.
Yes, exactly.
Let's start with what I wanted to mention. Switzerland. 9th with the public. 9th with the jury.
This is the biggest robbery.
Statistically speaking, this has never happened before. Where a country has come 9th on both sides and failed to qualify. Albina from Croatia came 10th. I am so gutted for Switzerland. How did it feel seeing this as a Switzerland fan, Jay?
As a big Switzerland fan, when I got the news, I was devastated. I can't believe that this is possible. Getting 9th in both and then not qualifying is crazy.
It's statistically so unlikely. But the reason it happened was the public went so hard for Albania, who didn't qualify with the jury, which, by the way, is mad in itself.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions about the jury here. And meanwhile, Czechia did great with the jury. And so it was saved by the juries. So the public and the jury felt so strongly about entries that were below Switzerland in 1 that it catapulted them up. And then we had this with Cyprus, where they pulled it together. Now, is the song great? Yes, that makes me understand the public results. These jury results, I'm afraid, do not make any sense to me whatsoever. They got jury points from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 countries, including 10s and 8s.
It doesn't make sense to me at all. That jury performance we saw, like, did we all see the same performance? There is no explanation.
Everyone's saying 6, 7, so I think they're all doing fine, at least in chat. So I really can't explain this, but there we go. Others, it's a sad thing to see. Luxembourg, Latvia, Armenia. This was an 11-song semi-final in terms of competitiveness.
Yeah.
Sadly, I was really hopeful for Latvia, but I mean, not having Estonia and Lithuania hurts. But even if they'd given 24 each,
It still
wouldn't be
enough.
close to qualifying.
Yeah.
What do you think it was that eliminated these 3 songs from contention?
Luxembourg, I understand. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the staging wasn't enough, personally. For Latvia, I think it didn't connect with enough people, maybe. Armenia,
Armenia, less unexpected for me. I mean, if we look at the points, it did amazingly in Australia. And the jury were like, yeah, perfect, we'll take that. Everywhere else, it basically, it did catastrophically badly.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing. This result from France is very bad.
Yeah, because they usually give high scores to each other. So, yeah. I wasn't expecting them to get second to last, though.
I kind of did because I thought, when I saw the audience poll and that it was, doing so badly, there we go. But I'm glad that, Latvia managed to just sneak ahead with the public, actually. Hilarious. Armenia, a jury-leaning song. Who would have thought? Also,
Jiva got points, guys. I'm so happy for her.
2 from the jury in Bulgaria.
Yes.
Do you know she came last in every single televote except Malta, where she came second last? So I genuinely think the bussy thing was a strategy to try and win some last-minute votes.
It didn't
work
work.
at all.
It didn't work.
But she didn't get double zeroed. She was the only nul point in the semis and that was just from the public. Another one I want to highlight, somebody who really struggled all week, did amazingly with the jury in the semis, did great in the final, did amazingly well when he was expected to be on the bubble in the semi, ended up coming 4th, no problem at all. That was Jonas Love.
I'm so happy for him. He deserves this because, being sick during Eurovision week must be hell.
And very sick, like laryngitis level sick.
Like the jury performance we saw, or even like the dress rehearsals we saw, he was, trying to take care of his voice during the dress rehearsals. He really tried to go for it during the jury performances. Couldn't quite get there, but I think the juries were being quite lenient. They understand that he can usually hit those notes. They were probably told that he hasn't been well the past week.
Yeah.
So to give him grace. So
I don't know if the juries would have been told that. No, I don't think the juries would have been told that. No.
Okay.
I think usually it's one of those things. It's about how you manage it. He managed it really well.
Yes.
He had a fantastic backing vocalist as well who really supported him. And you could tell during the performances, he knew where his limit was. He didn't try to do the big note as normal. Every time he was clearly constantly sort of feeling where his voice was, and he cut it as soon as he felt like it was going to go. And that made the performance so much better. In some ways, the cracking kind of added to it, right? There's some people are saying
in his voice.
yeah, it was very good. So, Jay, this is going to be, I'm about to go to my final bit, but first, I am going to ask you, I'm going to do the super chats in a minute, but first, Jay, any final impressions of this week? Any thoughts, anything that you've taken away from this experience?
It's been super fun. It's been stressful. It's been busy, but most importantly, it's been really fun. And, getting to hang out and work with a bunch of my friends, it's like a dream. Like, this is a dream job. And, I want to say, obviously, big thank you to you. You have helped me through this week in ways you don't even know.
It's
And
been
Cynthia
tough.
as well.
We've kept each other going off camera
Love you,
for
Cynthia.
sure.
Yeah. It's been, stressful week. Really fun. These songs, I don't think I'll ever forget any of these songs. We've seen them so many goddamn times.
It is the thing. You get this weird thing watching the live shows where often you lose focus because it's like I've seen this performance in 3 rehearsals and I've heard it in XYZ different environments, so many different things.
We have watched 9 shows this week.
And that's like it's just eventually you do just get so exhausted.
Yes.
That, and it's like, okay, I'm seeing the same thing again. I still enjoy it, but it's one of those things. I wouldn't trade what we do for anything.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it gets exhausting. Any last thoughts? And then I'm going to ask you to. Then you're going to have to take the chair with you, by the way.
Yes.
To take a minute while I do my sort of final thing.
Any last thoughts? Can I plug my Instagram one last
Yeah,
time?
for old times.
Guys, follow me on Instagram at JayIsOK. That is JAYISOK. Thank you guys so much.
Follow him, do it now, and make sure to subscribe to the channel while you're at it. We're almost at 60,000 subs.
Yes. Get there.
So, Jay,
Right.
off you go. Take the chair with you, though, because it
Bye,
needs to be
guys.
well out of the way for this to get it like into the corner or something. So, I'm going to read through the super chats. We're not quite finished yet, so I'll do the super chats now, and then I will sort of start to bring things towards a close, and I have lots of thoughts to share still before we do that. So firstly, where am I? I'm looking for the first one. There. Graham Martin, a final huge thank you to Gabe and team. You made the year again. Thank you so much. Phenomenally Anomaly says, maybe we need wildcards for getting TikToks. It would be interesting, but I feel like it could get messy, where all of a sudden you say, oh, we have an extra finalist. It could throw too many spanners in the works. I've just seen a massive one, and thank you so much. I mean, I'll get to it in a minute. I'm going through the order, but just so you know, I've seen that, and that is crazy. Nihi says, do we think Antigone was drunk when she sang in the semi? Because vocally she improved a lot in the final. No, of course she wasn't drunk. She just had a bad night. And then she was much better in the final. Please be more Jala. Respect for our queen Antigone. She wouldn't hit. Oh, come on. She did much better in the final. Much better. And it was really, really a big improvement. And I'm glad that she had that moment. Crazy Zing Gamer says, cheers, I'm really proud of Jonas' points in the final, 100 points from the jury, yeah, indeed. Europunter says, bring back juries to the semi, solved nothing. Well, exactly, we ended up in the same position, but it meant that Czechia got to the final, so I like that. Second year in a row, Poland got no points from the Ukrainian jury. Ukraine, why don't you see it, guys? Thank you, Gabe and co, for an entertaining and informative and professional coverage of the contest. Love the interviews. Thank you for providing that spark of joy that's been missing, says DJ Cox. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Smudge says, happy for Jonas on a personal level. MGP will learn nothing. Total mess. Put your bets on Norway and Q. Yeah, I think it really needs to change. Thank you so much, says, oh gosh, sorry, it's happening so fast. I'm trying to keep track of it. Train Spotting Mayhem says, do you think Bulgaria can afford to put on Eurovision? Yes. The EBU supports them if they need to. There will be plenty. They will make sure it happens. Thank you for all your work, says Anya. Thank you for being here. Ernest Scribbler, thank you so much for that extraordinary $100 super chat. That is just amazingly generous. Thank you so much for being my Eurovision support system for the past several years. Carry on, always speak your mind. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for your generosity. That means the world. Any idea why so many artists are sick? Happens very often. It's like a big work conference or something. Lots of people do get sick. Please address Albania. Jury discrimination. I can't believe it. Yeah, there'll be more to talk about. Maybe we'll talk about it next week. But thank you, Lacey. Jen Zamia, thank you everyone for the hard work. I've loved having this space to share my Eurovision love while not being able to do so elsewhere due to intense boycott. I'm glad that so many people who didn't feel they could watch the contest felt that this helped them get through this week, and that's really important to me. Megan Elkin says, remember, Finland was top 5 with valid results. Absolutely. Icebreaker says, the future of Eurovision scares me and this is my dream. I'm worried too. Surprise Dimple says, we're making Druk Draw happen. Okay, there's the super chats. And now, I can't believe we're in this position. Oh, Marco, you're leaving? You have to go to the airport. Goodbye, Marco. Everyone say goodbye, Marco.
Good luck, everybody.
So, now we are coming to the final part of the final stream. After everything we've been through in the last 12 days, just as last year, the first thing to say is thank you all so much for being here. It would have been impossible to get through all of this without all of you sort of cheering us on, keeping us going, as you know, even through all the toughest times in what has been a really tough year. I want to say thank you to everyone else, and I will invite everyone in a minute to come say goodbye. I'm going to do that right at the end. To everyone behind the scenes who's helped out, to everyone who is here now, it has been such a privilege to have all of these people there for me and supporting me and helping me get through this, because it's a mentally tough week as well. You know, especially I have to say, Cynthia, who has been here the whole time, you know, making sure my voice stays good, keeping me fed, making sure I sleep well, making sure everything comes together. This would have all fallen apart without her on multiple points this week, and emotionally as well. I do want to say, last night I found the results a very stressful experience, and I chose to not be in the press centre for the public results. I was here with Cynthia, and we kept each other calm through that really tough experience, and I was really, really grateful for it. As for the contest, last year I closed by talking about how much I love about this contest. There are so many things that I still do that I think are worth fighting for. This year we've tried to tell so many of those stories. We did that in Moldova by talking about how important it can be to countries that are desperate to be part of this European community, who are building this identity for themselves and protecting themselves against authoritarian forces like those which threaten Moldova and, of course, Ukraine. We made the video about the different messages on show in that Ukrainian national selection. We talked about artists in small countries when we went to Estonia who really want to try and take that chance to make a life out of music and to get that opportunity on the big stage outside of their country. We talked about the national selection shows and when we went to Finland and how they can enhance it can enhance the music industry in that country, how they can produce something beautiful that stands by itself, separate from Eurovision, as something that people watch together and something that people are so proud of. We went to Sweden and told the personal story of Felicia and the role of Melodifestivalen in saving her from a coercive, abusive arrangement with her former producer. There are so many stories, so many beautiful things about this contest that deserve to be told. All of those things, we were able to tell them this year. Once again, we came this close to not being able to ever do that again. Israel cannot be allowed to get away again with what it has gotten away with for 3 years in a row now. It's as obvious to all of you as it is to me. There is nothing legitimate about their voting. There is nothing legitimate about their results. 3 years in a row now. We can do this again next year. It will be death by 1,000 cuts. You can watch. If Israel stays in this contest, the viewing figures will fall, and more of the joy will be sapped away. Something incredible has happened in a country like Bulgaria winning this contest, where we have somewhere new and exciting, and somewhere in the Balkans, which is a region which hasn't hosted Eurovision for 20 years. We cannot have that imperiled by Israel remaining in this competition. We cannot have all of the core messages that I want to believe, that I don't want to feel empty in this competition, undermined by the fact that Israel is still here. United by music rings so hollow when we are sat in a building with a delegation whose presence is actively whitewashing a genocide. And a delegation who is benefiting from the manipulation of the voting process every single year. So we have a choice this year because, to be honest, I think there is still an opportunity to do this. Either, and it will be, if anything, because of irregularities in the voting. We can get Israel out now, or we can watch the contest fall apart completely. Maybe it'll stagger on for a few more years, but it will be fatally wounded. There are opportunities to make next year a celebration. Imagine Israel is removed. The boycotting countries feel able to return. We have debutantes like, Canada, for example, that might enter the contest. We have Eurovision Asia coming, which could be an incredible celebration in and of itself. We could see a Eurovision Song Contest if Israel is removed for its tampering with the voting. That has 6 new countries come in, that holds on to everyone we have now. We could have over 40 countries for the first time in years. It could be a beautiful celebration of European solidarity. It could be a beautiful expression of the kinds of values that we all stand for. If only the contest would have the spine to admit that that is what the soul of it has been this whole time. Eurovision has never been apolitical. It has never been separate from society. What it needs to be in the modern era is a touchstone that all of us can turn to that represents the Europe and the world that we believe in, the things that we stand for freedom and democracy and liberty and all of these values that I saw once this year in Moldova. I saw it there and it was a beautiful experience, and I want us to feel that every single May. It is within touching distance. The way to get there is simple, and the EBU, the organisers of this competition, have the power to take us there. All I am saying to them is, even though over the last few years we have come to a really difficult place, the relationship with the fans is at an all-time low, demonstrate you are willing to take us there. Demonstrate you are willing to take us there, and a great many people might well give this contest another chance. But you have to have the bravery to do that, to weather the storm and the attacks from the right wing that will come when you do that. Because what is on the other side could be so, so beautiful again. And we are here because we honestly believe our presence here will help build the narrative that you need to make that decision. I am still covering this contest because I believe that if people are informed, if people can celebrate those other things and see what it could be, that we can get there again. And as long as I believe that, I will keep doing that and never make any apology for it. But this is the time to do it. Everyone sees what is happening. You can choose to fix it now. I beg you to take this opportunity while you have it, or you will watch the contest fall into a death spiral that cannot recover from. So, on that, please, 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 over the next few months, let's hope that we see this. For now, though, it is time for me to say once again, thank you so much, not just me, but from everyone who has been telling these stories this week, who's been helping me, and we've all been by each other's side. And I'm going to invite everyone here to come in here because you are all part of it now. So everyone squeeze in, and we're going to all say goodbye together. So come in, come in. We're almost all here. James, okay, we're going to squeeze in more. I'm going to squeeze in more. There we go. So from the entire team, all of us here who have been with you all through this week, thank you so much. Let's pray and hope for a Sophia 2027 that we can all celebrate together in a contest that is fair and a contest that stands for the values that we all believe in. For now, from all of us,
Pussy.
this is us signing out. Thank you so much.
Pussy!
We did it. We did it. And I'm going to turn it off now. Goodbye, everyone.